G'day, Koala crew. Welcome to Miami, where the yachts are polished, the vibes are immaculate, and the most authentic racing of the weekend was made out of Lego. Lando starts on the front row, forgets how corners work, and goes sightseeing. Meanwhile, Oscar just quietly dismantles the field like it's part of the warm-up. No drama, no noise, just results. The quiet assassin strikes again. PK Cuz here, filling in for my cousin Papaya Koala. Back for another episode of sun spectacle and slightly too much vibe for McLando's golden child. And we all know that isn't Oscar, no matter how much Fat Rat and DTS want us to believe it is.
Heads up, this is satire and opinion only. Facts may be bent, sarcasm may be weaponized. Narratives may be poked with a stick. Nothing here represents official position of teams, drivers, broadcasters, or reality itself. Proceed with humor enabled. Welcome to Miami, the main race weekend at one of the least loved stops on the calendar. And no, before anyone fires up the comments, it's not because of the sunshine. It's not the waterfront. It's not the track. It's not even the party atmosphere, which Miami has in industrial quantities. It's because, well, it's all a bit cheesy, really. Another street circuit, another US race, both of which are fantastic if you're Librarity Media, and slightly less fantastic if you're a long-term F1 fan who remembers when glamour meant Monaco and Monza, not LED wristbands and influencer pit walks. Miami isn't bad, it's just very, produced. More spectacle, less soul. More hype, less race. But this year, Miami delivered one genuinely brilliant moment. The Lego Driver Parade! Yep, full-size F1 cars made from almost 400,000 Lego bricks, weighing more than the actual F1 cars themselves. A chaotic, joyful mess of slow-speed carnage, bumping, scraping, debris everywhere. Basically, the most authentic racing we'd seen all weekend. A new Lego F1 partnership, and honestly, no notes. Just perfect. Except this is Formula One. So of course, even a wholesome Lego race managed to spark controversy. Can you believe it? Because Lego laid down one very clear rule for safety reasons. The tallest driver on the team must drive. Simple. Objective. Unarguable. And yet, Pierre Fox drove for Alpha, even though Jack Ruan is taller. Carlos Hare drove for Willis, despite his teammate Alex being the tallest driver on the grid. Nando drove for AM, instead of his taller teammate Lance. And then, in a development that shocked absolutely no one, Lando drove the McLando, despite being shorter than Oscar, which tells you everything you need to know about the hierarchy at McLando. Because somehow, in Lego cars, where winning literally does not matter, well, we still discovered who prioritizes fairness and safety and who prioritizes being seen and being favored. It's also a helpful reminder of why Lando is now described as the most entitled pay driver on the grid, and why Lance, who quietly stepped aside for his senior legend teammate, actually isn't. And yes, Lando driving might also explain how Alpha managed to pass the McLando because he appeared to be caught napping, even at Lego speed. Poetic. In the end, the Lego parade that became a race was won by Alpha, Pierre and Jack, which may go down as their only victory of the season, given the current state of the real car. Yeah. So, Lando qualifies second and Oscar in fourth, the result of a tiny error by Oscar. But when P1 to P4 is separated by mere hundredths, even tiny errors matter. Oscar owned it immediately. Yet somehow the sheep narrative becomes, "Oh, Oscar's lost it." Which is a fascinating contrast to the standing ovation Lando receives every time he bravely admits to making the exact same kind of mistake. Even though when Lando does it, it always feels more like excuses or a grab for sympathy than actually owning his mistake. Lights out, and in absolute typical Lando fashion, as soon as he's on the front row, he forgets all about racing the corner and instead laser focuses on blocking whoever's next to him like a junior Carter. Every single time. Instead of just getting off the line cleanly and aiming for the apex like a normal functioning driver, Lando decides to try his classic force max wide maneuver. Oh, that has never, not even once, worked for him in his entire career. But hope springs eternal for the boofhead king of failed outside moves. Max actually makes a rare mistake, locks a wheel, and any elite driver would have pounced. But Lando? Nope. Not even when the door was wide open, the lights were on, and Max had left a welcome mat out front. Instead, Lando drives himself off track and ends up losing 4 places. So, while Lando is busy trying and failing the exact same move that has failed for 7 seasons straight, Oscar, the quiet assassin, is sitting back watching his teammate reinvent the definition of insanity. Oh! Oscar slips past Kimi with an efficiency that should honestly be studied in textbooks, and a few laps later he passes Max on track. Again! Casually. Something Lando still seems unable to do, even with wise owl Will giving him detailed instructions on exactly how to pass Max based on how Oscar did it.
Lando. Every move Oscar made, Max just covered the inside line and pushed him wide. Max is complaining about his brakes. Try and force him to F up his braking.
Instructions that Lando ignores and tries yet another move on Max, yeets himself off the road.
And unsurprisingly has to give the place back.
He then repasses in a way that Max correctly points out is illegal, but Lando is British, so no penalty, of course. Meanwhile, Oscar's out front, focused and in control. And here comes Snake Stallard, with the usual narration of Lando's life story over Oscar's radio.
Lando's at 1.2. Lando's pace is good. Lando is happy with his balance.
All while telling Oscar to save tyres, save fuel, adjust diff, pick up throttle later, manage more, save more, basically slow down so Lando can claim he's faster. And of course, we get the mandatory random Albon reference, because apparently Stallard is contractually obligated to remind Oscar that he is somehow battling an entirely different midfield race. Is this deliberate distraction? A secret McLando code for don't pull away from Lando? Or does Stallard genuinely believe Oscar is competing against Albon and not leading the race? Who knows? I'm not convinced that Snake does. Every setup tweak Stallard tells Oscar to apply somehow makes Oscar's car worse. Bouncing? Corner entry worse? Traction gone? Yep. All side effects of doing exactly what Stallard says. But even with all that, Oscar maintains control, keeps his lead, keeps his composure, and wins cleanly. And this time the broadcast remembered to show it after the fans made their feelings known about ignoring Oscar's last win, but somehow the camera still spends more time on Lando crossing the finish line for second. Lando finishes a few seconds back and immediately launches into the usual post-race sulking about Max not being penalised for daring to battle him like it's an actual race. And what do Fat Rat and Stella have to say about Oscar's win? A whole lot of
Poor Lando.
it was unfair to Lando.
So unlucky.
Lando could have won. But Oscar, the guy who actually won the race, barely an afterthought. Just another chapter in the Lando era where Oscar does the winning and somehow it is still all about Lando. Oh, incidentally, though very little was said about it, Oscar also earned McLando's first hat-trick of wins in 25 years. But since it wasn't a Lando achievement, we will all just pretend it didn't happen. So thank you, Miami, for giving us sunshine, for giving us F1 Lego races, for giving us spectacle, and most importantly, for giving us the most honest racing of the weekend made entirely out of plastic bricks. Like, if Lego strategy was clearer than real strategy. Subscribe, bricks optional, bias not. Join now, real racing sold separately.